I spoke more than once about the need to be anti-fragile, and today I want to try to unpack it a little bit and explain what are the four main principles that I believe that you should follow if you want to create anti-fragile organization. So, we're all looking for robust organization, we're all looking for agile organization, but few of us think about the anti-fragility of organization. And if organizations are not set to be anti-fragile, or you're not developing anti-fragile properties within your organization, the end result will be that the stress and the pressure that coming internally and externally from the business world and the complexity all around us will cause your organization to be fragile and to break into pieces. So I think the best example that I believe is the best example is if you take a rock. It's hard, it's tangible, it's easy to manage, but after certain pressure, it will break into pieces. If you take water, it's fluid, it's hard to measure, it's hard to manage, but it doesn't matter which pressure you're going to put on it, it's not going to break. It might change its state to gas, but it's not going to break. And everyone has advantage and disadvantage, and the idea is to find the way in the middle. So what I'm going to do today is to share with you four principles that I believe will help you to create anti-fragile organization. And they are based on observation of other system or organization that exist in nature. So the first thing is always prefer a lot of small entities that looks like one big organization on one big organization because the pressure on one big organization will cause it to break. But the pressure on multiple elements, so think about swarm of birds that flying in the sky. So it looks huge, it's humongous. Yet it's actually a lot of small elements that compose together into something that looks big. Same exists now, fish, in school of fish in the water. They manage to achieve a lot by their size, they're protecting themselves, but when there's a certain pressure or something needed, they can be agile enough to move around, change, and then regroup together. While if it's going to be one rigid big organization, it's going to eventually break. So I'm not telling you take your organization and break it into 1,000 small organizations. I'm just telling you that if you're taking an IBM and if you're taking Haier, the refrigerator company, probably Haier, the way that they set up themselves is going to be more beneficial and more is going to succeed and survive more under pressure rather than IBM. And I think we can start to see the results in reality in front of us with those two examples. So small entities that group together and look like big organization is better than one big organization, holistic one. The second thing is so decentralization and making decision making plural is better than centralization and single decision maker. Just the fact that the pressure is can eliminate the decision maker will take the entire system down. So plural decision making, bring more robustness, but this is not anti-fragility, it's just robustness. What plural decision making is bringing is a better view of the environment or the world that's subject to the decision making that you're making. So when you have more eyes, more people into it, you have more point of views, and probably the decision is going to be better and won't cause too much stress. So you're reducing the stress by having plural decision making. Yes, there are other problems related to that, the how fast the decision making can be done, but this is something that even in single decision making, I'm making a decision now. I need to go and convince the informal network of my organization to actually do it. So making a decision doesn't really mean that it's going to be done. But this decentralization of decision making, it's actually creating antifragility, because when something happens to certain element in the system, it doesn't mean that the other element in the system can keep on making their own decision and moving forward. So like if I have some disease in part of my body, the other part of my body still keep on working regularly and try to recover the other part. Otherwise, if it's just one system that has just one element that makes decision, if this element has problem, the entire system is going to break into parts. The third one is autonomy to element in the system that usually execute to make their own decision. So the need to go and ask permission is not going to create any anti-fragility within your system. The same as decision making, if the element in the system that interact with the environment of the system, which is your company, the system in this particular example, have the autonomy to make their own decision. They might make mistakes, but they will definitely take action, and when pressure will come, they will be trained and fast enough to deal with the pressure. And if tons of small elements dealing with the pressure, it's better, and the odds of breaking the company into pieces is lower than it's just one holistic element or just one strong element in the middle that the pressure eventually will break it into pieces. So autonomy to make decisions, to people that execute is the third one. And the fourth one, it's a loosely coupled structure. So think about water and try to imitate it. Think about atoms and try to imitate it. So an atom is actually a strong nucleus and several electrons that runs around it. And the nucleus attracts the electrons. And as you know, electrons can attract other electrons, and then you bound 2 or 3 or more atoms into molecules. And this same approach, and this is like loosely coupled. Those electrons can play part in different atoms, and they can create this bonding between atoms. And if there is a certain pressure, then the atoms might change their relationship and spread apart or change their form, but they will still stay the same as they used to be before. Just the distance between them is going to change, whether they are more far apart or more close, and that will change the form of those atoms. And the same, it's exactly the same should be applied to organizations. So you can create organization that the teams or people are rigid structures that you engineer them, you force them, you ask people to behave in certain ways. It will work up until certain pressure will just break it into pieces. Or you can create structures which are more loosely coupled using the same ideas of atoms and molecules, and then a pressure won't break it. It will change it, but it won't break it. So that's all, guys. I hope that it was helpful. I'll try to write, I'm writing down an article so it will be more easy to consume, but 4 main principles if you want to keep your organization anti-fragile. The first one is create it from many small entities and not from one big entity. Decentralize decision making and execution. Give autonomy to people in the organization who are making decisions, especially in the peripheral of the organization, to make their own decision, and create a structure which are more loosely coupled and not rigid and tightly coupled. That's all. I hope that it was helpful. Thanks.